Are you concerned about your balance, posture, or ability to carry out activities of daily living? If so, let me take you through my top 3 exercises for health and longevity. Hi everyone, and welcome to Exercise for Health. And I'm going to provide you with 3 exercises that will help you maintain your quality of life as you age. The 3 exercises I've picked target 3 common problems with aging, these being poor balance, poor mobility that affects posture, and pain. Although they won't directly improve your cardiovascular health for vitality, so it's still recommended that you get your 150 minutes a week from aerobic exercise such as walking, swimming, cycling, jogging, or whatever you enjoy that gets you breathless. These 3 exercises will enhance your muscle strength and joint mobility to improve your physical health. They can be done at home very easily without the need for any equipment and can be performed on their own on a recommended 2 or 3 days a week for optimal results. So let's go through them. The first exercise is probably one of the most functional of all exercises, and that is the squat. This exercise is best for improving lower limb strength to help you with day-to-day activities. If needed, you can use a chair, bench, or firm box behind you as a guide if you're less confident, but ideally these should be performed continuously without rest for 8 to 12 slow repetitions. So if using a guidance support, just kiss your bottom with it when in the squat position rather than relaxing the muscles by actually sitting down. Before you start, fold your arms across your chest and ensure your feet are a hips width apart. Then from the standing position, begin to push the hips backwards slightly and then bend at the knees, dropping the hips down until you reach what I call your biting point. This is the point at which, if you went any lower, you might struggle to get back to standing again. This point will be different for everyone, but the long-term aim should be able to get your thighs parallel with the floor so your hips are level with your knees, whilst ensuring your feet stay flat on the floor. If your knees are particularly painful though, just make sure that as you are squatting, you focus on pushing your bottom back more so your shins remain vertical rather than angled forwards. Although moving your knees over your toes is not bad mechanically and probably more beneficial for leg strength, keeping the knees further back might help reduce your pain during the movement. Also make sure that your knees remain the same width as your feet so they don't collapse inwards during the descent, as this is a common technique error for people that don't have much lower limb strength. Keeping the knees apart by activating the muscles on the outside of the hips will ensure no stress is placed on the inside of the knee. One other common mistake I see with squats is leaning the torso too far forwards, like you're folding your body at the hips, as you would do in a hip hinge or Romanian deadlift exercise. This is not necessary, so although your torso doesn't stay vertical, which would force the lower back to work harder, it should lean forwards naturally, but with the aim of lowering the hips down. As you do the movement, it's good practice to descend into the squat slower when compared to the ascent speed to standing. This slow eccentric or negative phase of the movement will benefit your leg muscle strength. As a general rule, go down for a count of 4 seconds, then stand back up in 1 to 2 seconds. If you can manage 12 reps comfortably and you are moving into a good depth squat in a controlled manner, but you don't feel your leg muscles are being challenged, then you will need to add weight to the movement, like in the examples I'm doing here. The amount of weight you use and where you hold it will be dependent on what you have available to you and what you think you can manage, but you could always use household items initially, adding just 1 or 2 kilograms to your body weight until you need to invest in a free weight like a pair of dumbbells. The second exercise is the hip airplanes, although I've modified it slightly to make it a bit easier initially. This exercise greatly stimulates the muscles of the posterior chain, particularly the glutes, which can become weaker from too much sitting and potentially causing low back pain, but it also provides a challenge for your balance if done correctly. To begin, stand in front of a support so you can touch it if necessary to avoid losing your balance. Lift one leg straight up behind you as your torso comes forwards, like doing a single leg hip hinge. Once you've reached the point where you feel your hamstring muscles are under tension and you can maintain a neutral spine and a slight bend in the knee, you then rotate your pelvis around the hip by lifting the hip of the raised leg up to the ceiling, opening and externally rotating the hip of the supporting leg. Hold for a count of 3, then rotate the pelvis the opposite way, dropping the hip of the raised leg down to the floor, closing and internally rotating the hip of the support leg. Again, hold this position for a count of 3, then repeat the movement until you've done it 5 times each way. You can then do the same again on the other foot. The aim should be to do the exercise without any hand contact on your support, adding to improving your balance. To make it harder, you can try doing this with your arms out to the sides, hence the airplane name. Just make sure that throughout the movement, your spine stays neutral, because as your hip muscles begin to fatigue, you'll probably find your back muscles taking over. So keep the head and the chest up as you're rotating to put all the emphasis through the hip. In addition, when you're opening the pelvis, the knee of the support leg shouldn't collapse inwards, so it must stay in alignment over the support foot. The third exercise is known as the world's greatest stretch. This exercise is great for mobilizing the thoracic spine in the upper back, as well as activating the upper back muscles, so it will help you with your posture. This exercise also improves shoulder mobility and crucially hip mobility, which can sometimes be the cause for knee pain. This exercise is normally done on the floor in a long lunge position, but I will show you a modified version if your mobility isn't that good yet. To begin, use a support like a chair or low table to rest a hand on and have it to one side of you. Take a giant step forward with your foot on the opposite side of your support, creating a long lunge stance with the front foot flat on the floor and the back foot on the ball of the foot, placing the hand closest to the support on it. With your free hand, thread it under your other supported arm to rotate the upper spine as much as possible, dropping the shoulder down. Hold for a count of 3, then pulling the arm back out, twist the spine the opposite way, reaching your arm towards the ceiling so your chest is facing your front knee, allowing that knee to move outwards, opening the hip. Aim to squeeze the shoulder blades together, keeping your support arm straight as though you are pushing it away from you, activating those upper back muscles for a count of 3 before dropping back down again. Try to keep the knee of the back leg as straight as possible, as well as pushing the heel of the foot backwards while moving through the stretch. Repeat this movement, holding for 3 seconds at each end point until you've done it 5 times through. Then you can switch your stance to repeat the stretch and exercise on the opposite side, ensuring that your support changes sides too. If your mobility improves or you can already get to the floor, then try the exercise with a support lower to the ground or even without one to allow for a greater range of motion in the hips. Initially, just performing each of these exercises once through might be enough, but you can progress to doing 2 or even 3 sets of each one, which will provide you with about 10 to 15 minutes of physical activity that will increase your strength, balance and mobility. So I hope these exercises help provide a way for you to improve your physical health. If so, please give it a like by clicking the thumbs up button below and consider subscribing if you haven't already. Please read the description below for further information and how you can support this channel. But thank you so much for watching, and until next time, stay active and keep moving to feel better.